Hi, it's Cara. Today we are filming my November wrap-up. Yes. I have a lot of books that are in the month of November. I read 15 things, not all of them were novels, and I also read a bunch of huge things, which I am very proud of, sneaking those out of shot. So let's go through them quite fast. With a bit of a breakdown, I read about, I don't know, 5 physical full-length books, most of which were tomes, or but one were a tome, I think. So I participated in Tome Topple, if you can't tell from my overuse of the word tome. Quite a few graphic novels. I think I read 5 graphic novels and 2 mangas, and then I listened to quite a few audiobooks. So let's get started. So the first thing I read in the month of November was Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. This is the final book in the Throne of Glass series. I have mixed opinions on this, which I think will probably be the thought of a lot of people, especially people who became less invested in the series as it went on, like me. I still like all the characters, but I think the books just became a bit tedious and too long. Like, just too much was happening, and I didn't care about all of it. So this is obviously this final book in this YA new adult fantasy series following Selena Sladothian, who's an assassin. And if you haven't heard of this, you must have been living under a rock to avoid discussion of this, even if you tried. This conclusion I thought was solid, but it's like over 1,000 pages, I think, or just under 1,000 pages. Just under 1,000 pages. There was a lot of threads, a lot of characters, and in all of that I still think it kind of wrapped up a bit too nicely, a bit too much of a perfect ending. There were times where I was really attached and really cared, and then other things that I was just like, whatever. I don't think I like our main character that much, and she makes dumb decisions sometimes, but I really care a lot about some of the side characters. So overall I think it was solid. I think I gave it a 4 stars. I just don't think it was the best in the series by any means, but it was a solid conclusion and I'm glad it's over. Then, because that was such a beast, I went on to read Death Note Volume 1 by Sugumi Oba. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. This is the first volume of Death Note. Everyone's read Death Note. I feel like anyone who's into manga has read Death Note, other than me, but now I have. This follows a kid who picks up, like a teenager who picks up this Death Note, which is like a book that you can write in and people die, and he's a bit of a psychopath, and it's very entertaining. I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I will definitely be continuing on with this series. Probably one of my favourite mangas so far that I have read, but I haven't read that many yet. Then I flipped track a little and tried a different graphic novel, and this is Lama Janes Volume 1 by Noelle Stevenson and a bunch of other authors. This follows a bunch of girls that are like Girl Scouts, but lumberjanes on like scout camp, summer camp. And this is a great series. I've also read this month volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ta-da! I'm also gonna finish off the series in December. These were really good. The star ratings vary between about a 3 and a 5, depending on which one it was. Some were better than others, but these girls are just amazing. This has trans rep, lesbian bi rep, and some other stuff going on in here. It's just so good. It's wholesome and amazing. Yeah, some of the volumes are not as intriguing as others, and some just seem a bit filler, but I find that always happens to me with graphic novels, so I don't even care. These were great. Then we have Origami Small God Volume 1. This I did not like anywhere near as much as Death Note. Give it about a 3 stars. I just didn't really connect with any of the characters. I thought they were a bit annoying, to be honest, some of the time. I probably won't continue this series in the stream of mangas that I've been reading. This is not one I will continue. Then I read The Three Secret Cities, somewhere in the midst of all Lama Janes, because this is kind of in the middle of that. I read The Three Secret Cities by Matthew Riley. This is the fifth book in the Jack West Junior series. I love Matthew Riley and I love this series, and this is no exception. This is kind of good because it was self-contained, and he's before in this series had really bad cliffhangers, and this one didn't have that, which is great. Though there was a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it kind of was not the same as the last one. Like, if anyone's ever read The Six Sacred Stones, and I read Six Sacred Stones shortly after it came out and had to deal with the 2-year wait till the next one, and it was death. This Matthew Riley's writing is always really amazing. It's very fast-paced. These are action-adventure adult novels, bordering on thriller, but they kind of read more like an action-adventure movie, like an action movie, and I love them to pieces. They don't have chapters, they just have scenes, and they're fast-paced and things are all happening, and these ones are all kind of Indiana Jones-esque. They're like finding clues to save the world and historical artifacts, and it's great fun. This is no exception. I can't wait for the last couple of books in this series. They're gonna be great. Then on audiobook, I was listening to Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is the first in the Dark Artificer series, and this was a reread for me in the lead up to Queen of Air and Darkness. I enjoyed the narration in this mostly. It was a bit not amazing, but it was fine. And I enjoy the story. I am very glad I reread it though, because I had very few memories of this, and when I originally read it I was in a bit of a slump, so this bumped up. I think I might have given it like a 3.5, 4 last time, and now it's like a 4, 4.5, so that's good. This is obviously a Shadowhunters book. Then I read Lethal White by Robert Galbraith, which is the 4th Cormoran Strike novel. This was really good. These are just a mystery series. They're not even really a thriller, they're just mysteries. But I really like the characters. I did think the first 150 pages of this was really slow, and then the mystery kind of kicked in. For the first 150 pages, it was just a lot of character development, and I was like drudging through it, but once the mystery kicked in, I was really invested and managed to slam through the last like 400 pages of the 600-page beast. But overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I enjoy this series, though I don't think it's for everyone. And I think people who assume it would be for them might not. Like, I think you could be very easily disappointed if this isn't your kind of thing. But I enjoyed it. This was like a 4 stars. Then I read The Phoenix Empress by Kay Arsenault Rivera, which is the sequel to The Tiger's Daughter. I read The Tiger's Daughter earlier in the year and absolutely adored it. I gave this one a 4 stars. I think it's like a 4.5. I think the only reason I didn't like it as much as the first one, this is a adult fantasy series following these 2 warrior women in love in an Asian inspired fantasy setting. I think the reason I didn't like this one quite as much was that it seemed a bit, the pacing seemed a bit fillery to build the plot and tension for book 3, rather than, like, there was less world building because that was all in the first book, but less like rapid development, which obviously would happen in the 3rd book. So it just was a bit slumpy of a book, like a bit of a 2nd book lag. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I like these characters, and the world is amazing. And I do like the storytelling. It's told in like, not really letter format in this one. The first one was in letter format, and this was more in like a story format, but then also has some 3rd-person narration. A story format, you know what I mean? Like a verbal storytelling written down. And it's just really beautifully written, and I definitely recommend this series. Then back on audiobooks, I read Lauder of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. Obviously this is a sequel to Lady Midnight. I liked the narrator for this one better. It's James Masters, who played Spike in Buffy, and I love him. I don't like Spike that much, but I love James Masters. I really enjoyed this. I'm very glad I reread it, because I would have gone into Queen of Air and Darkness blank, because I did not remember the ending of this. I didn't remember many of the details of this. So I'm very glad I reread it. I gave this a 4.5 stars. The ending killed me. Then I finished another audiobook in like just over 24 hours, and that was An Amber in the Ashes by Sabat Tahir. This is another reread for me. Because I read this years ago and I kept meaning to continue the series, but I didn't enjoy this much the first time. It was like a 3-star read. This time around it was a 4-star read, and I think I figured out the reason that I didn't like it so much the first time was a combination of being in a slump and having the wrong kind of expectations. Like, I thought it was meant to be a standalone, and then I thought it was like an Asian inspired fantasy or like an Indian inspired fantasy, whereas it's more Roman Turkish inspired. I really enjoyed this time round on audiobook, and I'm going to continue the series on audiobook. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. And the final thing I read in the month of November is Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade book and it's a sequel to Nevermore. I love this. Everyone says it, but this totally has the Harry Potter vibes. It just gives you that like feeling of wonder. And I reckon this one was almost better than the first one just because it had better pacing. It's amazing. Totally recommend this to the 12-year-old in your life, but also to the adult in your life because it is really good. So those are all the books that I read in the month of November. Comment down below what you read in the month of November and chat with me if you've read any of the books that I read. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Goodbye!